Welcome to Bamfordrose, and it's forum chat time. In this week's forum chat, it's another little discussion about the dreaded DB9 tick and how can you avoid this happening to you. So stay tuned to forum chat and we'll go through it. So obviously there's some concern out there, whether you're a prospective early DB9 purchaser or DB9 owner, to avoid the dreaded DB9 tick. Which is exactly what this poster is asking about. This poster quite rightly comes on and says you might want to check out our videos. Well, yes indeed. And he goes on to explain about one of the first examples of an owner that encountered the dreaded DB9 tick. And yes, I know that car. Actually, as far as this poster was concerned, it was actually us that repaired that car. Now, in the case of the car that this poster is talking about, where the owner went round in endless circles, changing absolutely everything on the periphery. At that time, I don't remember exactly when it was, probably 2011, maybe early 12. We'd encountered one DB7 engine at that point that had got what we now know and love to be the dreaded DB9 tick. And even ourselves, we're on a learning curve. It's just that we've done this learning, in this case over a decade ago. The DB7 that we had in was ticking, and our engine builder had just replaced some bearings, probably all crank bearings, and importantly the small M bearing, the bush, that has been superseded from a plain bush to a bush that's got an oil channel in it. That engine was rebuilt, put in the car, and it still ticked exactly the same as what it did do before it was rebuilt. Obviously now this is our problem because we've got to take the engine out of the car, strip it and find out what's going on, because what we thought to repair it, what we thought took to repair it, didn't actually repair it. That's where engine builders, technicians, reach the limit of their capability, because it needs an engineer's eyes on it now. And in that case we found out that although as you would do an engine build, you've measured the liner diameter maybe across a couple of planes, it's not really been this meticulous engineer's approach to measuring it in all dimensions across the clock face, the circumference of the liner, and going down the liner to get a multi-dimensional overview of how cylindrical or oval that liner has become. And it turned out in that case that the engine builder had missed that the liner in that multi-dimensional, very critical approach to measurement was actually oval. And the tick wasn't arising from the small M bush alone, it was actually piston slap in liner. Fortunately, as many things across all of the cars are now concerned, we have literally done our learning over a decade ago as a company, and there isn't really anything new which phases us anymore. Now that Bamfordrose has its dedicated, not just engine build shop, but vehicle workshop that looks after cars in the workshop, cars that are needing an engine repair, we've repaired a number of these now. So learning is very much more advanced from when it was in that initial case that this poster is talking about from over 10 years ago. The dreaded DB9 tick is root cause the small end bush, but often that's been left too late. It's allowed the piston to go out of control, and that's worn the liner oval. So the tick is this joint oval liner and small end bush that needs repairing. together with superseding to the new small M bush and maybe a hone new piston, small embush and rebuild was the extent of the repair that that car needed. If it was left undetected and run and run and run, then the tick gets louder and louder, and when you take those engines apart, unfortunately, it's at that point the cylinder block needs a bit more corrective work. The liner needs to be machined out, a new liner put in, and then new pistons according to the internal bore of the liner that you choose to go for, probably a grade 1, and then that gives 2 further rebuilds. But that level of machining out the liner, putting a new one in with all the new internals is a huge cost. And if it's going in a DB9 by the time, or an early DB9, by the time you've done that rebuild, taking the engine out of the car, put it back in, all fluids, all consumables, you're knocking on the door of the market value of the car just to repair the engine. Now I know a few cars that are just being nursed along and they're long-term runners with the tick. The tick is developing, it's getting louder, and you're gonna reach the point where your own mechanical sympathy really tells you to stop using that engine because it's ticking so much rather than there being a catastrophic failure. Fortunately for new buyers, that's going to become really obvious because you'll start the car up, it'll get warm and it'll start ticking when it's idling immediately. Cars that are not as progressed as that, you're going to have to hold the engine revs for about 3,500 RPM, maybe for about 3 or so minutes, drop it down to idle. That holding of the engine revs at 3,500 sort of mimics that motorway cruise where you've developed steady state heat above the piston. You've got maximum steady state heat developed in the piston crown. That causes expansion, and then when you drop it down to idle, you're going to hear the ticking because the piston is expanded now in an oval liner, and that's going to give the piston slap. So whether it is lurking in the background or it's present all the time, if you're looking at buying the car, you can check this out before you actually buy the car. If you are in ownership currently, and like this poster has asked, how can you stop this from happening to you, then my advice would be take it to somewhere that services cars to a real fine detailed approach, who would run the engine up and develop the tick if it was going to happen, and then report back to you on any early findings. Because if the early 450 horsepower DB9 was identified as having the minutest of ticks, then I wager that you take that engine out, you'll only need to replace the small embushes, the liners won't be oval, and then that problem can be repaired and never happen again because it's had the superseded new small embush fitted. But because that means quite considerable expense, even if it was just a small embush repair and you haven't got to go to the lengths of renewing cylinder, liner and piston, then you're still probably talking half the market value of the car to repair it at that early onset of the tick. And most people wouldn't, and most people would trade the car on if they were alerted to that. In the Aston world, unfortunately, problems are rarely fixed, problems are traded. Problems traded and huge repair bills is starting to bite on the butt new owners, unfortunately. And the best thing that I can do, apart from making videos like this just to make everyone aware of the problems so they can check out the car that they are looking to buy doesn't have it, is to write down actually in the service book or on the service sheets, engine tick, engine problem. I cannot stamp the book of a car that is basically outside a service, the engine's got a serious problem, and risk that being passed on to a new owner. I think it's still fair to say that this problem doesn't happen to 470 BHP DB9 and the 510 V12V or DBS. I've not heard one tick. So this is just isolated to early DB9 that had that plain small embush without an oil channel, which leads the piston to go out of control, which leads to oval wear of the liner. Are all early 450 DB9 engines likely to fail in this way? Well, no, I don't think so. There is no pattern, no rhyme or reason to it. So the message of the day is fix it early if you're identified as to having this problem, because the cost to fix it will be the least possible. And if you're buying, then just promote the conditions that make the tick develop, to make sure you're not buying a car that is basically got an engine that's outside of service. That does mean that those 450 horsepower DB9s that are at the top of their game, meticulously serviced and have got no known problems, are worth a premium, and rightly so. It also means that those DB9s at the bottom end of the market that have had deferred maintenance should be treated with caution, because there could be large repair bills looming. And still to date, at this time of making the video at least, the factory isn't selling a remanufactured engine. And because the dealer network won't strip engines and repair them, although the individual internal components are available, it means that this problem cannot get itself solved in the franchise world, and it would have to be fixed in the independent world. Hope you like that forum chat. We'll look forward to seeing you on next week's. As ever, really helps us if you can subscribe to the channel, click us a like, and give us your comments on dreaded DB9 engine tick.